Blog Talk Radio.
Rasamati Nandana Vrndavana Nagara Gokula Ranjana Kana.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Vedic Perspective. I'm your host, Ralph Lorino. Today is Saturday, October 9th, and we have a lot of ground to cover today. We're going to be talking specifically about cow protection and how that relates to ancient scripture. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read some verses from the ancient scripture called Srimad Bhagavatam. It's 5,000 years old. And then I'm going to read the purports by Bhaktivedanta Swami, and I will also be commenting on the different verses and different purports. So we have a lot of ground to cover. Let's jump right into it. So in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17 is entitled The Punishment and Reward of Kali. Now, there's a little bit of background information that needs to be given here. According to the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the past, the world was governed by one king, and this king was a Rajarshi king. In other words, he had the best interest of the public in mind. He wasn't like today's leaders who are just out for themselves and greedy. He was actually looking for the best interests of the public in general. And also in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it states that the cycles of the ages, or what's called the yugas, they go in seasons, kind of like the 4 seasons we see here on Earth. First there's a golden age, then there's a silver age, then there's a bronze age, and 5,000 years ago was the beginning of the iron age, or the age of quarrel and hypocrisy. So this can be compared to kind of like the winter of the seasons of the yugas. So just like in the winter, we know it's going to become cold, but that doesn't mean we have to just suffer in the coldness. We can prepare ourselves. We can get different heating sources. We can wear a warm jacket. So even though we live in what's known for the last 5,000 years as the Iron Age, or the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, which is comparable to the winter of the seasons of the yugas, it doesn't mean that we have to suffer all the effects of this age. We can prepare ourselves in various ways. And that's what I'm going to be speaking about today, and how this ancient scripture relates to preparing ourselves and protecting ourselves from the adverse effects of the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, which we are now 5,000 years into. So this chapter deals with the dawning of the age of Kali Yuga, and how the king of the world at that time, Maharaj Parikshit, how he dealt with the oncoming of this age. So I'll go ahead and read the first verse. Sutta Goswami said, after reaching that place, Maharaj Parikshit observed that a lower caste Shudra, dressed like a king, was beating a cow and bull with a club as if they had no owner. A purport by Bhaktivedanta Swami. The principal sign of the age of Kali is that lower caste Shudras, i.e., men without Brahminical culture and spiritual initiation, will be dressed like administrators or kings, and the principal business of such non-Kshatriya rulers will be to kill the innocent animals, especially the cows and the bulls, who shall be unprotected by their masters, the bona fide vaisyas, the mercantile community. In the Bhagavad-gita, verse 1844, it is said that the vaisyas are meant to deal in agriculture, cow protection, and trade. In the age of Kali, the degraded vaisyas, the mercantile men, are engaged in supplying cows to slaughterhouses. The Kshatriyas are meant to protect the citizens of the state, whereas the vaisyas are meant to protect the cows and bulls and utilize them to produce grain and milk. The cow is meant to deliver milk, and the bull is meant to produce the grains. But in the age of Kali, the Shudra class of men are in the posts of administrators, and the cows and bulls, or the mothers and the fathers, unprotected by the vaisyas, are subjected to the slaughterhouses organized by the Shudra administrators. So there's a lot of important information in this verse that we may take it that, well, some people are protecting the cow. This is a nice sentiment, but it's not very important. But here we see that according to the Vedic literature, which is 5,000 years old, which has an unbroken line of teachers coming up to the current age, that this is the principal sign of this age of quarrel and hypocrisy, or the abuse of the cow and the bull. So it's not just a trifling matter, it's not just a sentiment, and the harming of the cow and the bull leads to very many bad effects in this age. As Prabhupada is explaining here, as Bhaktivedanta Swami is explaining here, that the cow is the symbol of the mother because she delivers milk to the human society. And the bull is the symbol of the father because he tills the agricultural fields and produces the food for the family. So even on a psychological level, this is very damaging to the people of this age to engage in killing the representations of the mother and the father. And this is why that cow protection is not just animal protection. It actually indicates the protection of the mother and the father, which means the protection of the children, which means the protection of the family. The family is the basic unit of a healthy society. As we see now in our society that there's so much destruction going on of the family, that many families have no father, many children are not taken care of properly, and this is causing an overall degradation of the value and the morals of the society, and everything's going to hell in a handbasket. So cow protection is very essential, not just as a sentiment, but as a practical way to reverse the effects of this age, especially in regards to the protection of the mother, the protection of the father, the protection of children, and the protection of the family. So I'm going to go ahead now and read verse 2. The bull was as white as a lotus flower. He was terrified of the Shudra who was beating him, and he was so afraid that he was standing on one leg, trembling and urinating. Purport. The next symptom of the age of Kali is that the principles of religion, which are all spotlessly white, like the white lotus flower, will be attacked by the uncultured Shudra population of the age. They may be descendants of Brahmana or Kshatriya forefathers, but in the age of Kali, for want of sufficient education and culture of Vedic wisdom, such a Shudra-like population will defy the principles of religion, and persons who are religiously endowed will be terrified by such men. They will declare themselves as adherents of no religious principles, and many isms and cults will spring up in Kali Yuga, only to kill the spotless bull of religion. The state will be declared as secular, or without any particular principle of religion, and as a result, there will be total indifference to the principles of religion. The citizens will be free to act as they like, without respect for sadhu, shastra, and guru. The bull, standing on one leg, indicates that the principles of religion are gradually diminishing. Even the fragmental existence of religious principles will be embarrassed by so many obstacles, as if a trembling condition of falling down at any time. So here again, there's a lot of important information in this verse. The symptoms of the age of Kali will be that religion will be attacked. And this when Bhaktivedanta Swami here speaks of religion, he doesn't mean Hindu, Muslim, Christian, like that, because he's talking more here about the qualities of the living entity that are eternally wed with the living entity. For example, let's take the example of sugar. Sugar has to be sweet. This is the phenomenological existence of sugar. If the sugar is not sweet, if that aspect is not there, we reject it as sugar. So here he's talking, when he speaks of religion, he's talking about the qualities of the living entity which are eternal to him, which cannot be separated from him. Because as we can see, a Christian can convert to be a Muslim, or a Muslim to a Christian, or a Hindu to a Muslim. So therefore, these principles, these designations cannot be eternal, and that is proven by the fact that they can be changed. So we shouldn't take this term religion in a dogmatic sense, that someone is trying to push their religion on you. But rather what he's speaking about here is the qualities of the living entity that are eternal to the living entity. Also, in the Vedic conception, there are some terms that we need to understand. For example, the Brahmanas are considered to be the intellectual class. The Kshatriyas are considered to be the protectors of the society. The Vaisyas are considered to be the agriculturalists and the people who produce the food for the population. And the Shudras are supposed to be the helpers of the other four Varnas, they're called. So this is very important to understand that in this age, basically the spotless bull of religion is being attacked, and the bull in this example is representing dharma or religion. So it goes deeper than just that the cow is the symbol of the mother and the bull is the symbol of the father. The cow is also representing, on a deeper archetype level, Mother Earth, and the bull is representing dharma, which is sometimes translated as religion, but what it actually means is the qualities and the functions of the living entity which are eternal to him. So the attack on the cow and the bull is not only an attack on the mother and the father, but it also indicates an attack on Mother Earth, which we see going on in this age, full tilt, that the earth is being exploited in so many various ways that are to the detriment of the people of the society. In the sense of the air is polluted, the water is polluted, the ground, the soil is becoming less fertile, and so many other examples of how the earth is being exploited. And certainly we can see that whatever religious principles are there, it's an all-out, total assault against anyone who tries to have any kind of religious character or religious belief, that those people are considered to be foolish and basically almost outcast in the society and not very cool to want to, become involved in any kind of upright standing. So this verse is very important. So let's move on to verse 3, and I will read you the translation for verse 3. Although the cow is beneficial because one can draw religious principles from her, she was now rendered poor and calfless. Her legs were being beaten by a Shudra. There were tears in her eyes, and she was distressed and weak. She was hankering after some grass in the field. Purport by Bhaktivedanta Swami. The next symptom of the age of Kali is the distressed condition of the cow. Milking the cow means drawing the principles of religion in liquid form. The great rishis and munis would live only on milk. Srila Sukadeva Goswami would go to a householder while he was milking a cow, and he would simply take a little quantity of it for subsistence. Even 50 years ago, no one would deprive a sadhu of a quart or two of milk, and every householder would give milk like water. For a Sanatanist, a follower of Vedic principles, it is the duty of every householder to have cows and bulls as household paraphernalia, not only for drinking milk, but also for deriving religious principles. The Sanatanist worships cows on religious principles and respects brahmanas. The cow's milk is required for the sacrificial fire, and by performing sacrifices the householder can be happy. The cow's calf not only is beautiful to look at, but also gives satisfaction to the cow, and so she delivers as much milk as possible. But in Kali Yuga, the calves are separated from the cows as early as possible for purposes which may not be mentioned in these pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. The cow stands with tears in her eyes. The Shudra milkman draws milk from the cow artificially, and when there is no milk, the cow is sent to be slaughtered. These greatly sinful acts are responsible for all the troubles in present society. People do not know what they are doing in the name of economic development. The influence of Kali will keep them in the darkness of ignorance. Despite all endeavors for peace and prosperity, they must try to see that the cows and bulls are happy in all respects. Foolish people do not know how one earns happiness by making the cows and bulls happy, but that is a fact by the law of nature. Let us take it from the authority of Srimad Bhagavatam and adopt the principles for total happiness of humanity. Okay, wow, again in this verse there's so much important information. I mean, it's unbelievable the amount of important information in this verse. So one of the primary symptoms of the age of Kali, which is the age we live in, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, the age of iron, is the distressed condition of the cow. So this is not a trifling matter. People think, well, perhaps some cows are being sent to the slaughterhouse, but we have important things to deal with. We have all these political issues. We have all these social issues. We have all these economic issues. So let's set aside the question of the cow and let's deal with what, really matters. But here, that mentality is directly refuted.